LaMelo, the Hornets came back from an 18-point deficit. That
Before we start, shout out my dad's birthday. Pop's birthday, got the dub for him. I mean, I don't really know. I just be going out there playing basketball for real. Gang on gang, we chilling all the time. I on his family.
When discussing young point guards in today's league, LaMelo Ball is a name you can't ignore at all. His creativity on the floor and fearless approach to dismantling defenses make him stand out amongst most, and this kind of bold playstyle is rare and frankly is pretty special. LaMelo takes shots most young guards wouldn't even consider, but for him, all it takes is a small amount of space and he's gonna send it up.
LaMelo, how about 3 in a row? Yes!
Starting off this NBA season, Ball has put up nearly 8 threes per game off the pull-up, and he drains these at a 44% rate. I'm not sure if you all understand how crazy that is, but if you look at prime Steph Curry, he shot 43% from deep on 6 attempts off the pull-up per game, so although it's early, if Ball can continue this, he can be a scary problem for any matchup. Say a big decides to play drop coverage against him, well this opens up the floor for many opportunities, such as this attack downhill to the basket, but when you're a high level shooter, this is when you can use that step back to get behind the line, and then Ball shoots this off one leg for straight cash. This deep ball threat manipulates defenses in the most simplest way possible, such as right here, you can see Stewart back up to defend the drive, which is gonna open up Grant Williams. Now when LaMelo steps back, you're gonna see 2 defenders lunge at him as they assume the 3 is going up, and right here is where the window opens up for you to hit Williams for a wide open 3. On that last play, you can easily see the gravity he has on the floor just from his shooting power alone, and hey, it's understandable when you see that he's pulling up over the defense with no hesitation whatsoever. The confidence to rise up from 26 feet like this is absurd, as not only is he shooting these once he gets the tiniest amount of space, but right here you can see the shot clock is at 20 seconds, which is still early in the possession. So Ball could attack past VanVleet to get to the rim as well, but nah, LaMelo takes a shot that the offense could practically get at any time, and with confidence he knocks it down. That play alone showcased the good and bad to LaMelo's playstyle. When shots like that go in, they're very rewarding, and may even make you nod your head in approval, but other times he'll end up taking those shots in non-ideal scenarios. In all fairness, this is something you're gonna deal with when you have a star who's coming into himself, and let's all just be honest, we all love seeing a 30-foot bomb connect. There's truly many ways LaMelo can get into these looks from deep, and what seems to be his favorite is that step back that totally destroys defenders. When getting the step on his man here, LaMelo has a couple of choices. He could continue all the way to the rim, but that honestly wouldn't be the best choice as the help is sitting there waiting. So the next thing he could do is use that floater to mitigate any disruption, but who are we kidding? We're talking about LaMelo Ball, who lives in this crazy basketball reality and shows us the true power of a step back by creating this massive gap between him and his defender to then sink the bucket. These step backs can be extremely tough for the defense to gauge because LaMelo does have that ability to get downhill and score inside if needed, which we will touch on later. But the thing is, if you get too fixated on stopping his downhill momentum, well here's where he will use it against you, and now you're left going towards the paint while he's stepping back behind the line, and well, you already know what happens next. The best way to guard this would be for the big to play up higher on the screen so they could potentially defend the step back, but the thing is, LaMelo will now start putting pressure on the defense, and here's where things get ugly. If you look at your right corner, you're going to see Jalen Green already shifting over, but why is that? Well, since Sengun slid over and is now committed to the ball on the switch, this now leaves Diabate with a head of steam downhill so that Ball could lob it up to him. So this is why Jalen Green is gearing up to take that away. But in the same vein, he may be taking away one thing, but he's giving up another, and that's an opportunity for Ball to hit Martin in the corner for a 3. So right there alone, LaMelo has 2 options, but if you notice right here, VanVleet is a couple feet away from his defender, and this is all because he was helping over on LaMelo's drive, and it may seem good and all to stop the penetration from the middle, but the key thing is that you can't forget about the man you're supposed to be guarding, or else here's a simple yet smooth pass for a nasty slam.
Elevates it, stuffs it down.
So yeah, you can try to guard it to the best of your ability, but somehow he'll find a way to get the look the team needs, and if you do end up letting your big man switch, well their ankles aren't really built for a beating a guard can do to them, and at this point, LaMelo was locked and loaded, so this Dillon Brooks contest doesn't even do much. Coming out the gates on fire like this from deep does wonders for your team, as it gives them a reliable punch they can lean on to cut deficits or build leads, and for LaMelo, it opens up the rest of his game. LaMelo's shooting threat was opening up angles for him to find his teammates on the floor, but what it also does is grant him that opportunity to deliver the trampoline to the package thieves and drop it off with no issue for the 5-star rating. When you're out there delivering buckets, the main skill that sets you apart from most is the ability to be versatile. Sure, LaMelo is shooting 37% from deep on 12 attempts per game, but what happens when defenses scheme for that and force you into doing something else? Well, for LaMelo, this poses no issue as he converted 64% of his 34 attempts in the paint this season. Ball has this herky-jerky motor to his game that can get defenders leaning off balance before he feeds his final move to finish them off, but so far it's been that soft touch floater that has been dismantling defenses. This play right here is a perfect example of all things we've touched on so far. You're going to see the big come out to the 3 on this pick and roll solely because of LaMelo's shooting ability, but this now leaves him vulnerable to a blow-by. So to prevent that, the big starts sliding downhill immediately, which then LaMelo counters by snatching back, gaining all the space from one defender. But now with his initial man back smothering him, this is where you must get crafty, and Ball decides to cross back past the defender to then use the floater once uncovered. I know, I understand, it's a lot, but it sort of shows you how things start to build on each other in terms of abilities on the court. This floater is a special thing in LaMelo's bag, as it gives him a major advantage when taking smaller guys like VanVleet to the rim. And if you're to look closely at this contest from Amen Thompson, it adds even more reason as to why the floater is such a valuable weapon. Not only will smaller guys be unable to defend this, but even bigs have a hard time stopping Ball from getting that floater off because he uses it at random times and has the length to get it up and over them. Say you have a play like this where Al Horford is ready to stop LaMelo in the paint, well, Ball has the height and length to get this up and over the outstretched hand of Horford, and with that touch, this one drops right in. Other times he'll be pushing to the rack with a head of steam with a 6'10" Jabari Smith on his hip and Sengun in the paint ready to help, so in this case it wouldn't be so smart to take this all the way in as both the bigs could probably block you. So instead LaMelo rises up out of nowhere to catch both defenders off guard, and this one is practically a warm-up floater. The more you watch LaMelo, you'll start to notice that he loves to use these floaters opposed to going all the way in. And if you ask me, I understand why, because it adds another layer of protection from the defense. Now this isn't me saying that he can't get to the basket and finish, it's just that when you're a point guard who's trying to ascend to the next level, it's not about the most tough or exciting layup, as it's more about getting the most efficient shot you can. His supreme focus on these floaters allow him to stay locked in after getting bumped to nail the and one, but don't for 1 second think he's scared to come all the way inside, or else you're gonna be proven wrong when he shows off that acrobatic nature. With such a versatile skill set, he commands a lot of attention from the defense, which then allows him to get his teammates good looks on the floor and also his game going. I know starting off, a lot of people didn't have high hopes for Ball or that he wouldn't be a top point guard in the league, but he has definitely shown otherwise. The major thing that has hindered him has been his health, and so far it looks like he's on the right path. The Hornets finally have pieces around LaMelo who can complement him very well, and please don't take this as me saying that they're going to make a deep run or anything, but when your lead guard is putting up 28 points a night while having the ability to create any look on the floor, this is when you know you have something special on your hands.